and make sure that make sure you have that support in place. And that's what the Digital Women's Forum is really about. I'm not sure if Aoibhinn Sheedy has joined us today, but very kindly, Aoibhinn reached out to us. She works with YSTEM in UI Galway. It's a society set up again to encourage female and women in technology. So we're here to support that. We'd absolutely welcome anybody to reach out to us if they have any questions or any queries or anything like that, or anything that you feel that ITAG may be able to support you on. So today's event, we're working with InUI Galway, GMIT, and Letterkenny IT. And again, it's just an initiative that we're supporting through the Digital Women's Forum. Today is about us designing a mentoring kind of coaching session for about 6 months for students. And it's just kind of an introduction. So we have some people joining us today that are mentors. So it'll be about introducing you to mentors, introducing you to people who work in industry today. You can ask any questions you want. There's no embarrassing questions around that. And that's what the mentoring is there to support you in that. So we just jump to the next slide. Why would we actually do a coaching program or a mentoring program? And, these are some of the statistics that's available. I have put the link up here to where we got these, but, it's about becoming more confident and empowered. And I've mentioned before, it does give you the opportunity to ask questions that you may not be comfortable asking somewhere else. Build your network to get a job. It's amazing how many jobs are actually found today by just knowing somebody within an area, within a group. You can talk to them in advance of a job. I was talking to one of my VPs in the States, and he was saying that at this stage, the recruiters would say to him that, you're not going to get a job yourself by applying for it. At that stage in your career, it's all about your network. So a network is really important. We can run a separate event later down the line about networking and why you might keep that engagement in place. And enjoy greater job satisfaction. There is statistics out there that people with mentors enjoy their job. And I presume it could be related to having somebody to bounce questions off or get advice and guidance on where to go. So obviously we have a lot of people here joining us today. We're 28 participants, and what would that bring to you to the table? Why would you join us? So it is about improving self-confidence and self-awareness. Again, communication skills. Back in the day when I was a student, I've actually gone back and I'm doing a postgrad now, but it's probably slightly different doing a postgrad when you're in a working environment. But it is about a different style of communication, I would think, that we work in industry versus what we see in college. And it's about growing that personal network for yourselves as well. Again, exposure to new and different perspectives. When you start working it's not all about the points and it's not all about the highest grades. It's about team engagement. It's about communication. I would think that's a lot of things that we would learn when we go into an industry. Again, we all have goals. We all set goals within our own companies. We set, it's not just strategic goals for the company, but we set personal goals as well, something that we might like to achieve in the year. And I think a mentor in an industry environment could certainly support you in terms of that. And again, I don't need to go through these, but, it is good to have somebody to support you and be advocated for. So that's one of the things that we would promote through a mentoring program. I would just say, look at, if you have any questions, I can keep an eye on the chat just to make sure if you have any questions that you were interested in asking, you can either ask through the chat. I mightn't be keeping an eye the all time, but feel free to ask any questions at any point as well. So we put together just kind of some simple guidelines here, just maybe how the program is run. There's an apply online and there's a mentee kickoff call, which is today, and you're all very welcome to join us on that. Apply online, the step is certainly not over. You can see here in the chat, there is Google Forms links gone in there for people to apply for that. And, some people have got them in advance through some of our program leads that we have from GMIT, Letterkenny, and from InUI Galway. But again, like I said, that's not closed. Step number 1 today is step number 2. And then I can jump into kind of how it might happen, but we're going to review the applications and try and assign a mentor. So you'll be asked maybe certain things about you might like or areas that's of interest to you, and we will try and match them. And again, the mentoring sessions, we have proposed here 2 sessions per semester with a 1-hour duration. This is absolutely open to your own opinion or what you would like to do when you get matched up with your mentor. You may choose to do it more often. I think this would be the minimum that we would probably recommend to get actual value from it. And then, of course, at the end, we will look to complete an evaluation program. As in everything we do, we like to get feedback on it of what's worked well and what hasn't worked well, so that we always know the areas that we can improve. And if we were to roll this out a second time, we'd certainly like to close the gaps on anything that you felt was not working. So I'm going to jump. Is anybody any questions for me or anything like that at the moment? I have a couple of screens, so I just probably keep it hard to keep an eye on everybody, keep their hands up, but certainly jump in if you have any questions. So the next steps in the program, so just this is probably a little bit more detailed for anybody joining us today, but we would ask you to work with your program leads to be if you would like to be involved. There's 16 slots available at the moment. It is a pilot program. We started out with 10 slots, and a few more mentors put up their hands and offered to come and join us. So we extended the pilot out to 16 slots. You know, certainly if it goes to 18 or 19 or 20, we won't be turning anybody away. We will seek to find more mentors for those people. Here, I've named out the people that you would be working with if you choose to apply. So I would say reach out to this person. So it's Annette Cosgrove from GMIT, Aoibhinn Sheedy from YSTEM in UI Galway, and then Ruth Lennon from Letterkenny. So you may have actually got the Google Forms already, like I mentioned, but if you haven't, certainly reach out to those leads if you're interested in chatting with anybody. We're going to ask to, certainly we want to get this underway and not miss the entire college year. So we are going to ask to close applications in about 10 days time, which is Friday week. So October 29th, we'll be closing at 5 p.m. Following on from that, ITAG as a team, we will work together and we will look to assign the mentee and the coach together, and we'll look to do that by November 12th. So we will look through all the application forms and try and find common interests and see where the most suitable setting is. The initial meeting by Friday, November 26th, so 14 days later, we're asking, and this is very much with the mentee. So this is with the student. We're asking you to reach out via email to introduce yourself and plan a meeting with your mentor. I suppose working in industry for a while, I do see that this is, an opportunity for mentees, for students to take this on board. So we would ask you to step up and take the responsibility of doing that reach out yourself. On that introduction email, or however you choose, after that, I would ask you that you kind of agree how you might like to move forward on this. So whether you would like to do phone calls, you might like to do Zoom, Teams. I think that's very much an individual decision that you will make between the two of you as you're pairing. So we won't be involved in that, but certainly pick something that works for both of you. We will do a check-in in January. So, we will be hoping there'll be at least one meeting in place prior to that. So that will be done via the program leads. So ITAG will take a step out of that session. We will gather the feedback from them, but we'll be asking Annette, Aoibhinn, and Ruth to reach out to all of you to make sure that you're comfortable what's going on, you've actually done your first check-in, etc. Then the program continues again just until April, and we'll look to kind of close it up around April. We're doing that just so that people can settle down and study for any final exams coming up and prepare for the year end for your own college perspective. This program isn't in place to put people under pressure. This program is in place to, sorry, just get rid of that. This program is in place to support you and just kind of support maybe what might be like to work in industry, what type of job you might like to work through. When we look at technology, there's such a variety of jobs out there. There's like cybersecurity analysts, there is programmers, there's project managers. There's such a variety at this stage that may be interesting to find out what you might like to work towards. And then the final evaluation, we will send out a survey. Again, that's just for our own benefit to make sure that we know what worked well and what didn't work well, so that when we're to run the program again next year, fingers crossed that you all enjoy it and it's a success, that we would look to know how to pivot again and just make those slight improvements that we can. And finally, maybe, I'm kind of aware that we have gone through this quite quickly, but, I would encourage you that if you do get assigned or you do choose to join this program, that you make the benefit of that. It is about building your confidence and about getting to experience that's not in a student and college environment. So that will be available for you through your mentor. And as somebody says here, so a mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself, and it helps bring it out of you. So anybody even joined us from an industry perspective, we are also running a second mentoring program for people within industry. So we would certainly welcome you to keep an eye out for that. And maybe if you choose to get involved, we'd be happy to support you on that as well. So I am going to open the floor for questions, and I'm going to stop sharing just so people don't need to be distracted. If anybody is more comfortable popping something in the chat rather than asking directly out, that's no problem at all. I'm just checking to see if Aoibhinn's joined us. I see Ruth has joined us anyway from Letterkenny. I'm not sure, Ruth, if you want to mention anything. So Amy, thanks for the question. How long should each of the sessions between the mentor and mentee be? I think a student might be a little bit different, I think, than industry. So from an industry perspective, we would be looking anywhere between 30 minutes and 60 minutes. I suppose I do get involved in a lot of external mentoring, and they're probably 60-minute sessions that we would do. But I think that's up to you to agree that between yourselves. So I think 30 minutes probably at a kickoff would be more suitable. And, you might find that you you prefer to go on a little bit longer if there's areas that you feel are not being covered within the 30 minutes. But I would suggest maybe at the start that you kick off at 30 minutes and see how you go from there. Okay. Anyone other questions? Is it also open for PhD students? It is indeed, yes. You know, so I'm not sure, Sveta, where you're applying from. So I would ask you to just get in touch with the program lead. Again, if you're in from LYT, it's Ruth Lennon, who's also on this call at the moment. If you're calling in from GMIT, it's Annette Cosgrove, and Aoibhinn Sheedy through the YSTEM group from NUI Galway. There is no age limits, no. You know, a student is here to be supported. Absolutely. So do not worry about that at all. You know, our job is to try and help and support you no matter what age, what support you are. Okay. Any other questions for anybody? I see Ruth, thanks. You're keeping an eye on the chat for me as well. I'm not sure, I presume everybody can see the chat, but yeah, just in case, I will call out any of the questions. Any of the mentors, there's a couple of mentors here on the call. Is anybody any questions as well as the mentees? So I'm sure a lot of you have been involved in mentoring programs before, but certainly, you know, open to any questions as well from an ITAG perspective.
In terms of topics for like the coaching sessions, is that kind of something for a mentor and a mentee to decide together, or is there a specific?
Yeah, Caroline. So I can actually maybe we could kind of introduce some topics that may be of interest to people, but I certainly think it's between that. A lot of, you know, people might be interested in, I think it's what the mentee might be interested in, you know, what's it like to work in industry? You know, what is this particular type of job, you know, that you're probably familiar with them through your job yourself. But I would say, yes, topics are certainly open for whatever they're needed. Okay. And just for anybody here that asks, yes, this program is free. You know, again, Digital Women's Forum is in place here to support and bring female technologists along with us. Yeah, and make sure that, you know, all the opportunities are available and supports are in place for that.
Can I jump in there, Karen?
Yeah.
Just to say that it is free, and certainly that is the core ideas that we want to support more people, but we can only do that if we reach out to other people. So we'd ask that you, if you're on the program, that you push this out on LinkedIn, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, and say the value you're getting from these programs directly from ITAG. So the more people become aware of it, because ITAG do a lot of good work, and I think we need to push the awareness on that.
Great, thank you, Ruth. Can we get assigned mentors based on our technical field of interest? I'd certainly be flagging that. So, you know, if there's any note section or anything like that, do flag your technical field of interest, and we will certainly look to do that match. So thank you for that question, Gina.
Just one other thing to be aware of is that the mentors may actually be male or female, but all of the mentees will be female.
Yeah, good point. Just in terms of material afterwards, do you have everybody's email after this, D, sign up? I'm just thinking we could put in some LinkedIn. If people want to follow us on LinkedIn, you know, make sure that you've got the messages from the ITAG where the LinkedIn group is for ITAG, and certainly anybody's welcome to follow me, and I can kind of put a push out on that as well again, just on any of the Google forums for this.
Yeah, Joe will have everybody's email address.
Perfect. So
look at the website as well, because we run an awful lot of events during the year that may be of interest as well as this particular event. So keep an eye out.
Okay. Somebody's asked what we would be, what else we need to do to join. Forms are here, so if you can just see the chat. Again, there's forms just gone out there for the student application. So that's the form you'd be looking at from a student perspective. And again, just depending on what location you're in, just reach out to your program lead as well, just to flag your interest with that. If we have more than the numbers required, we will seek to look to add a few more mentors. Again, as I highlighted, it's a pilot program, so we're probably not going to go to 50, but you know, if there's a few extra, we can certainly add it on. We've got 16 slots available at the moment. So if you want to just take note of that link, again, we can just send an email out afterwards with a link to the website as Ruth highlighted, and LinkedIn posts and LinkedIn areas as well. And again, we'll send out the Google form. So we do have everybody's email address to do that. Okay. Any more questions that people would like to? Happy to take them on the chat. Absolutely. So only topics that have been mentioned in the forum can be discussed with the mentor, or some general industry related help can be also discussed. Absolutely. You know, anything from a general industry perspective, the people that have joined here are a couple of years experience within the companies, within certain areas. So they will be free to discuss whatever they can in terms of, you know, their knowledge around that. Some industries, you know, maybe some of the topics you might need somebody who's in industry a little bit longer, but, you know, I will discuss that with your mentor and we can certainly find help if you need that. So, okay. If nobody's any other questions, I can let people free off. I'm happy enough to stay on for a few minutes here. So look, the call's running for another 10 minutes. So if nobody's any other questions, feel free to drop off if you're comfortable with what you've had and you've taken down the links already. And I'm happy enough to stay on for a few minutes if people prefer to just ask questions when it's a little bit quieter, or I can just stay on here and monitor the chat for a few minutes. So thank you to everybody for joining us. I hope you're looking forward to the program. I'm certainly looking forward to meeting you through the program, and thanks for joining us today. So I'll stay on here, as I said, and have a nice day, everybody. So thank you.